Hi, this is Catherine. This is Taking Tea with Catherine, and this is Buttermint Tea uh, by Twinings, which I'm only drinking today, although I like it, but I'm only drinking it today because I was watching my September TBR from 2019, and I was drinking it then. I thought, let's make this a tradition. So yes, September TBR for 2020. Oh, this most uncertain time. It's really hard to plan what to read and what time you're going to have for anything. I know that I have technically a week off in September that I think I'm still taking. But I'm like, what am I going to do with it? Maybe catch up on things? But it's kind of weird because I had made that as a rescheduling for March when I canceled my London trip. And I thought, oh yeah, so I'll have to wait for 6 months. I don't know how we'll do it, but we'll have to. But it didn't seem possible that I wouldn't be able to go in September. But I cannot see anything happening where I could go to London this month coming up or this year. 2021, I don't know, but definitely not 2020. It would take a strangest kind of miracle to be able to do so. So we're not going to get sad about that. But again, it seems like I'll have a lot of reading time if I take that week off, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I don't want to promise anything. But these are some of the books that I hope to pick up in 2020, among other books that I've been reading, because I am reading plenty of other books that I'm in the middle of, and that's just what I do to myself. I overwhelm myself. It's life. So I was going to just, because there's so many upcoming challenges that I want to take part in, and that I did last year and enjoyed, but I wanted to do a Shaketube for September, because last year I saw some videos for Shaketube, and I thought, hey, that looks kind of cool. And I want to read more Shakespeare, and it's not a lot of pressure for me because I don't really need to read every single Shakespeare. There's I think maybe 4 hosts, and they all read different Shakespeare plays every week. And then at the end, they read Hamlet together, I think. And I thought I could pull off a couple of Shakespeare plays, right? I have this new, I saw it on Steve Donahue's channel, and then I wanted it myself, so I ordered it. And it's already kind of dented. It came in the mail slightly dented. Then my cat, Jane Poston, not much of a book lover, this cat, kicked it off of the furniture and further messed it up. But Shakespeare, the complete works. So I mean, I think I already had his complete works, but in different volume. But this one's pretty cool because it's the Royal Shakespeare Company, so there's pictures and notes and stuff that look really fun. And I also have Shakespeare for every day of the year. Was it always this yellowed? I don't even remember. I only got this last year, maybe earlier I think last year. I like these for every day of the year things, but I thought I could try to read this in September, just for the September bits. So that could have been already a pretty decent plan. But then some of my favorite booktubers. It's there's a bunch of favorite booktubers that I'm already doing challenges in October, November thereof. And then 4 more came into the fray with a new challenge called the Fall into Reading Challenge, which basically covers autumn. Yes, it starts on September 1st, which isn't technically that season, but come on. I want it to be autumnal in September, the whole month, so wishful thinking is good. And it ends in November 30th, which isn't the actual end of the season, but December feels like winter. Enough said. So the hosts are Cozy Reader Kelly, Literary Labors, Rainy Day Reads, and Tia and All the Books. Love all the channels. You're probably already following these channels anyway, but if you're not, definitely worth it. And they all read kind of like a variety of books, which I love. I love when people read a variety of books. And they had 2 different category blocks you could choose from. One was 24 categories, which a lot of them covered pretty cool things, like has leaves in the cover, has orange, yellow, or gold, or whatever, something like that. And I thought that was great, but 24 seemed like a bit overwhelming for me, who had not intended to have plans like that. So I went for the 15. Very pretty. And I could mix and match. And there are some categories, like for instance, romance. I really don't read romance novels at all. But if I read anything that is at all romantic, I'm going to fit that in. Maybe I'll read Romeo and Juliet. I don't really like Romeo and Juliet, but maybe I will because it's supposed to be a romance, right? Maybe. So, I'm going to show you some books I would really like to read in September, or at least pick up, and how they fit in. So the first actual category is nonfiction, which I will cover in November, nonfiction November. But this book I got recently, and I just want to read another tea book. And this is Modern Tea by Lisa Bawalt Richardson. And it looks pretty. It doesn't look very big, so it's not much of a commitment anyway. And so I'll enjoy it. It'll get me in tea mode, which is great this time of year anyway. And so there's that. Middle grade was a bit of a challenge for me because I have very few books that can be considered middle grade, and I already have enough books on the whole of the library. So, but I thought this is a book that I had planned to read this year anyway. I read A Secret Garden, and this is part of the same collection of books that I got, these Puffin classics that came in. And this is A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I know the story pretty well, not every minute of it, but I've seen like the adaptations, whatever, but I don't think I've read the book. So this could be a quick read, and it also sticks with the wanting to read more classics. So yeah. So there's middle grade. This is a book that I had already intended to read in September because it sounds weird, but I have a friend who's getting married in September. It's going to be a Zoom wedding, and which is fun. I did a Zoom wedding in July. Both brides, I remember, before they were born. Like I was either at their baby shower or I remember the mother being pregnant. So it makes me feel old, but I know. This is what happens when you live long enough, right? Speaking of living long enough, just a brief note on Chadwick Boseman, because that made me really sad when I saw that he had died. Not just because that was really just sad in general that he, people who loved him lost somebody, and because all the people who love that Black Panther, etc., and that's going to be a massive loss. But selfishly, it turns out we were born like in the same month, so it's really hard to see somebody my age die from cancer. And that sounds weird, but it's sobering. So on that sad note, but just ooh. So this is a book I plan to read in September, and this is The Wedding, a novel by Dorothy West, which I thought was written earlier, but she has a dedication to the memory of Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, who died in the 90s. So, and when this was printed out, it said 1995, I think, and it said that she was born 1909. So I know she's has to be gone by now, Dorothy West. But I have that book that I bought, Literary Sisters, that has her life and others in it. So I should really be more up on this. So this will give me an opportunity to at least know her work, and hopefully I'll enjoy it. And then I will read up on her life a little bit, and it falls into a category of author of color. So we got that down. And speaking of down, Watership Down by Richard Adams. Now, it seems like a weird thing for me to suddenly pick out of nowhere. I've had this book in my collection since I had it probably a decade ago from Book of the Month Club, which I had some kind of Book of the Month Club, which was $10 a month. You get a book, which I probably could have gotten this for less, but I think I've seen it in Book Off for less, but whatever. And just like a bunch of bunnies come to life and, come to, human life, I guess you would say. And so it falls into the category of fantasy already. And it was mentioned in The Constant Rabbit, in Jasper Ford's The Constant Rabbit, which I just read. So I thought it might be a good time to get into it. And it's very autumnal looking. Very autumnal looking. So, you notice I like to say autumn instead of fall. Not because I don't like the word fall. It makes sense, falling leaves, whatever, but I prefer autumn. I just like the sound of it. Autumn. Anyway, so it's got a Spark Notes Reader's Companion in case I can't follow along, right? I wonder if that's considered a classic, but that's not in here, classic. Yes, it is. Classic. I mean, I'm going to read classics in October. If I read October, it's happening. Right? So, okay. I feel like I showed this to you already. Did I show this to you already? I'm losing track. Okay. Well, anyway, whether I did or not, let's just quickly run through this one. This is Laurie R. King's Rivera Gold. It is the Sherlock Holmes and Mary Russell novels, so it's part of a series. It takes place in the 20s, so technically it could be historical fiction. It's a mystery, so that's a category. It's technically online. It was called a thriller, so thriller horror is a category, so I might just stick that in there. This was published in 2020, which is also a category. All set. So that could be fine for now, right? But there's a couple of romance, like I said, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Graphic novel, the graphic novels I own, I don't feel like reading, but I put on hold, and I think it's in transit, which means I'm gonna get a hold of it really soon at my public library. I put on hold the graphic novel of Hamlet. So that covers, because I've already read Hamlet. So that covers reading a Shakespeare for Shaketube, I mean, I don't know if that really counts in that sense, but who cares? Because I'm not going to get too technical. And a graphic novel. And it's considered young adult. So young adult is a category. So yes, we already have tons of stuff here that already will be, there was one that's published before 2020. I mean, that's easy enough, But then there's a couple of things here that I wasn't sure about. One of which was science fiction, because I have gone in and out of interest in science fiction, and I've just never been a huge science fiction person, though occasionally I will like something. I mean, and there are certain TV shows that I've liked that are considered science fiction. I mean, Doctor Who was one of my favorite TV shows, Star Trek, etc. But I've not been one for reading a lot. But here are some that I could consider. But this is one that I got up to page 200, and apparently it is the second part of something. So I already read the first part, and I do not remember doing so. But I must have, right? I must have. Let me just look at the beginning here. Hold on a second. I'm pausing this. Okay, sorry. I just had a quick little gander into this book because I'm like, how come I don't remember there being two? And I'm halfway or almost halfway through the second book. But then I read the beginning and I realized, yeah, there was a first book that I read already. But it's been about 5 years maybe since I read it. So, and then I just somehow left off on page 200 in The Fall of Hyperion by Dan Simmons. And I'm thinking maybe if I get a chance, I can, first of all, I would have to do a recap to remember what I did, like what it was about. Because all I remember was this creature that they had to somehow, I don't remember what. It was like there was space travel and maybe some time travel-ish, some weird identity things, but I remember what I found interesting, because I was really reading a lot of romantic poetry at the time, was that there's a lot of influence of John Keats and his life in here somehow. Like people who somehow identify with him, who might be him. I don't even remember. And all these names, like Hyperion. I know Endymion came later on. Endymion, is that how you say it? Gosh, I don't know how to pronounce anything. But, like, I don't remember much about it. So if I'm going to get back into this, I don't know if this is the month to do it, because it just seems like a lot of research. But I feel kind of bad having left it behind, because I know when I was reading it, I was really into it. But there's I must have just, sometimes you just stop and then you don't go back into it, and you're like, what's wrong with me? So we'll see. That could be a good idea, but it may be a little too time consuming considering. And here's a book I bought before the author died. Plan to read. It was mentioned like the Jane Austen book club of all things. And I bought it at the Strand because the sticker is still in the front. Very eyesore-ish. But this is Ursula Le Guin's The Left Hand of Darkness. I read some of her poetry, but not her novels. And it might be time to start. Or not. But this is science fiction. Technically, I think it's also fantasy. So, could cover that as well. I don't know. What do you guys think? But anyway, so, then there's also the thought of picking up one of my Doctor Who novels. Because I went through a phase, which you guys have heard of probably more than once, where I was obsessed with Doctor Who. And I still like it. It just kind of like the fire went dim. and it probably will never become a full-on flame. It's just like a little happy little tea light. And I still watch the episodes when they come out, but I kind of got annoyed because it used to be available on Netflix, all of the new Doctor Who's, and then they had some of the classic stuff, and then it moved to Amazon Prime, but now you have to pay for every episode on Amazon Prime, and it moved to HBO Max, and now I'm just bitter. So I got tired of it, but when I was in between series or seasons, as they call them in the United States, I would buy novels to sort of get me through, or I'd watch some of the classic episodes too, but and that was my favorite was David Tennant. So even though I had read some of the Matt Smith ones, I was really, and I think some of the Peter Capaldi at some point, but it was really the David Tennant years that I was the most into, and I seem to have a lot of ones with Martha Jones in the front, which was his second companion, and I liked her. I think people say she was whiny or something because she was in love with the Doctor. Spoiler alert, but I'm kind of like, you know what? So was I at that time. Anyway, and I had a bunch of these books. This one just looks like the one if I was gonna read it. Not up my alley. I'm not into of all the autumn things in life. I'm not into Halloween, but I think it's probably loosely based. Everything here it's always got something science fiction-y related to it. But I think this is the one I bought when I was in London when I went to the Word in the Water. I think. But this is Forever Autumn. So, yeah. I mean, looks kind of creepy. I don't know how I feel about that, but it has a very autumnal look, and it's science fiction, so you never know. And just as a side point, I just wanted to show you these three because I'm trying to remember, but I don't know if I'm giving myself suggestive memory where I think I remember something and maybe don't. But these three, I still have more in my collection, but these three books that I bought, all David Tennant ones, 2 Martha Jones, and 1 lone David Tennant by himself. All of these I see stickers from Book Off for $8. I'm like, I paid $8 for each of these books? That wasn't that great of a discount, and I didn't read them? At least I don't remember reading. I know I've read a few of these, but I don't think these particular ones, so that's so sad. So, I mean, it kind of would make sense to pick up one of those because I have so many of them, and it is going to be a while before there's more Doctor Who episodes. I think there's going to be one around Christmas time, and then, I mean, they're not filming right now, obviously, so it might take a while. So maybe it would be good to read that, and that does count for science fiction, right? There was spacey and time travel, obviously, so that could be it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in your comments down below. I have so many other books that I was going to show you, and then I just realized we're going to go into crazy time, because I had all these thoughts of historical fiction, and then I just realized, you know what? I will take it as it comes. Right now, I think I have enough to do reading-wise, and I've pretty much covered most of these categories by just the books I showed you, correct? So, that is all for my September TBR. And, yeah, I'll see you on the other side, right? Let me know if you guys have read any of these books. What do you think? What do you like? Are you doing the Phones Reading Challenge? Because I totally recommend it. And, or not, but it's a fun little challenge. So this is Catherine at Taking Tea with Catherine. Have a lovely tea and book-filled day. Bye.